Hey folks, what's going on? Justin Masson here with Nintendo Dads with a review of this, the enhanced wireless controller for the Nintendo Switch from PowerA, and this is the running Mario version. You can see because Mario is running, right? So big thanks to PowerA for sending this along to us, by the way. I want to be fully transparent. They did provide us this for a review. So let me talk a little bit about this. So this is on their website right now for $49.99. That's $50. I'm going to round up for simple math, USD. And I'm going to tell you, I love this controller. This is a really, really fantastic controller and fantastic for families who may have got more devices over the holiday break and don't want to maybe be paying that really high premium price that we typically see with a Pro controller from Nintendo. Now, I will say this is a Nintendo licensed franchised quality. Like, this isn't some versions like I'm gonna put a Mario sticker on a controller. This is licensed by Nintendo seal of approval, quality, all that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying there is this is not the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, right, that we typically see running for between $80 to $100 depending on your region. So again, this is $50 USD. So there's kind of a nice price point there, right? It's not going to break the bank. But it still feels like a premium controller. I'm going to talk about why it feels like a premium controller, but I'm also going to talk about a couple things that I really love a lot of the features of the controller, but there's like one thing that like goes so close to being like the perfect controller. So first and foremost, if you compare this to a Pro controller, like I have, nearly dropped it, Pro controller there, the button layouts are pretty much the exact same, right? You can kind of actually take a look at that. They are literally the same. Even up here on our L's and R's button, same as well. We've got our power cord right there. The power cord right there is for this one, for the Pro controller. So a lot of the same placements as well. I will say that this controller feels just like very slightly heavier than this controller, but not by like, it's not massively different. So there is that. So basically when we're talking about it, like ergonomically, the design is the exact same, feels right. There's a couple things I want to call out here. So on the very back are these programmable or mappable buttons, mappable advanced gaming buttons, which allow you to, I play like this. So whenever you play, like your fingers typically rest around the back of it. And so they've strategically placed really great button positions there. So if you want to remap something, you can remap them down to here if that's more comfortable for you. That can be really great, especially if you're talking about family gaming and new gamers who may struggle to kind of reach some of these buttons all the way up here. Their hands aren't maybe quite as big yet. They're not as quite comfortable. So this is really great to be able to kind of like put these buttons right at those kind of fingertips. So they're mappable right there. And that button right there, that helps you to do the mapping. So that is absolutely fantastic. The other thing I would say really cool about this as well, this charge that I showed here, this battery charge, about 25 to 30 hours on a charge with this thing. So that is absolutely crazy. I also do love the fact that it is not AA, AAA, and it's not batteries. It's an actual, like, here's your USB cord, plug it in, charge cycle, just like you're used to with one of these, right? Because again, I think what you want to do is you want to mirror the premium experience that you get here. I'm not a fan of like AA, AAA batteries, because you gotta throw them out, right? So reusable. So I love the fact that this is literally, it's a USB charger. Boom, there you go. You've got your button there to sync it with the Switch. Does all those fantastic things, right? Capture button, of course. So you're like, wow, Justin, you're kind of glowing on this. So what's the miss? What's the miss? Well, before I get to the miss, there's one other thing I do want to say as well that's kind of cool, because I think when you stack these devices together, if there was a features menu and you stack them together, they're going to come out really pretty close to the same, except for two primary areas that may or may not be a deal breaker for you. So with this, so you've got all the regular buttons, features, so we're equal here. It's what's not shown that is kind of important for you to understand. So with the Pro controller, right, you have gyro, right, or motion control associated with it. You have rumble and you have amiibo functionality. So those are the three kind of bullet points that are not shown here that are built into these devices. So let's talk about how that stacks up against this kind of device, right? Against, again, the enhanced wireless controller for Nintendo Switch from PowerA, running Mario Edition. So first, motion control is in here. That's a premium, right? That's pretty awesome. So that's motion controls, gyro. So that is pretty awesome. Next one that's not in here is amiibo functionality. And I don't know about you, I don't really care, to be completely honest. And my kids really don't care about amiibo functionality. It was a great idea. I think when Nintendo built it in, back in 2017 in the Switch, I mean, that was still kind of a good craze for them, and they were still producing a lot of amiibo, and that was still kind of a pillar for finance for them, right? This kind of toy figurine component of it. Of course, I have amiibo, right? Sure, look it, okay. But I don't ever tap them on my device. Literally, kid you not, the only time that we've done it is that recently my daughter was like, hey, you can add Animal Crossing characters to Animal Crossing, right? And I was like, yeah. She's like, well, can I use these amiibo cards? Oh, yeah, you can, right? So for me, not a big deal. And I would hesitate. And if it's a big deal for you, like, and your kids, like, your Nintendo Switch has amiibo tap functionality on it. So like, that's not a deal breaker here. Let's move on to the one thing that is like, that's the one thing that for me I struggle a little bit with. And this sounds really funny. Rumble, right? Haptic feedback, the rumble functionality that we're so used to. Now, I've been gaming since the late 80s. And I grew up in the age of the rumble packs that you put on for the Star Fox and all those kind of games, right? And you could feel it, and it was something. Now Rumble has become much like the things that Nintendo does, just embedded into controller designs and builds for forever going forward, right? It's not necessarily it has rumble, right? It's just always there. So when it's not there and you're used to it, that's where it becomes really, really kind of interesting. So maybe you're like, but Justin, like, rumble isn't a huge deal. Rumble's a huge deal when you don't have it and you realize it's kind of that thing, like, it's always in your gaming, but you never really realize it until it's not there. And then you're like, oh, well, this feels different. So to sometimes the haptic feedback that you would get, that feeling that you would get, you're not receiving that kind of, because when you're playing a game, it's I'm watching it, I'm hearing it, right? And with Rumble, you feel it. And so in some games, and so great examples of that, I would think of like Fortnite, Overwatch is another great example. Another one that I had recently was Phoenix Immortal Rising, right? And it's one of those things where it's used subtly throughout games that you're like, oh yeah, there's an indicator. There's a treasure chest over there. Oh, I'm getting shot at, right? The place I actually found it the most was Animal Crossing New Horizons. And you're like, wait, what? You're not getting shot at in Animal Crossing. No, you are not. And that would be a very different game. But I'm all about that too. Like, let's see what happens with Tom Nook with like a blaster. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, I digress. It was actually fishing. So you cast out your line and the fish kind of come, and once they actually, hit your rod, you get this quick feedback, and that's a really good indicator to reel in. Now you're also getting visual indicators online as well with, okay, you can see the image and how it's shaking. But that was actually where I was like, I didn't realize how much I really, really rely on it. So that is kind of the rub of it. So feature for feature, this stacks up really, really well with a Pro controller, like absolutely fantastic. This is in my regular cycling of it. So when I'm playing games with my kids, my daughters absolutely go for this one, right? So first and foremost, the form factor is perfect, just like the other Switch or the other controller. They love the artwork. And by the way, PowerA has some amazing other designs for the enhanced wireless controller. Just some awesome stuff. So take a look. If you're like, oh, I don't like the Mario running one, they got tons of other ones, so you should definitely check that out. And the battery life is absolutely incredible, which I love. It's got gyro, which is awesome. Programmable buttons, which is fantastic. So there's so many positive, and it's $50, like $50. As a parent, right? Like every dollar kind of counts, right? When you're trying to make really good decisions. So here's my thing. This is definitely a Nintendo Dad's approved controller, and I would highly, highly recommend it. Just be aware that the biggest kind of one drawback, thing is it doesn't have rumble. If that is not a big deal for you, and maybe the moment you have a game that has rumble, you go in the settings, you're like off, get out of here. Then ladies and gentlemen, pound for pound, this is an absolutely fantastic controller for the Nintendo Switch, and I highly, highly, highly recommend picking it up. Yeah, big thumbs up. Guys, again, enhanced wireless controller for Nintendo Switch from PowerA. You can literally go to the PowerA site and order it right there. And if you don't like, again, this design, they have tons of other designs. Thank you very much for PowerA for providing us this for review as well. Guys, thanks very much. This has been Nintendo Dads. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, click the subscribe button. And if you're not new here, but you've watched our videos before and you subscribed, click the bell button because we put out a lot of videos. As a matter of fact, in 2020, we have put over 350 videos out. That's right, almost a video every single day. So click that button because we literally, we have so much content coming. You're not going to want to miss it. More unboxings, more controller reviews, more Let's Plays, more reviews, more podcast content, more weird predictions, and just a lot of fun. Guys, thanks for tuning in to Nintendo Dads. Take care. Bye-bye.